right, Jay Houston, thank you very much. Okay, so over a third of all American adults say football is their favorite sport. From Pee Wee leagues to Friday Night Lights to college football Saturdays and NFL Sundays, it dominates American culture. But in recent years, football's popularity has taken a big hit, partly because of the hit players take during the game.
A Boston University study of former football players' brains donated to the Brain Bank found degenerative brain disease known as chronic traumatic encephalopathy, or CTE, associated with concussions and other head trauma in 91% of the former college players' brains.
We gave up our futures for them. We gave up our brains for them.
My first guest says CTE hysteria is outrunning the facts and it's ruining football. Please welcome former NFL player and author of Brainwashed, the bad science behind CTE and the plot to destroy football, Merril Hoge. Good morning, Merril.
Good morning, man. I love this energy. It's a beautiful thing. I love it.
You not only played in the NFL, obviously we're back up, and you played as a child, right?
Yeah. I started playing when I was 8.
Yeah, and that was a different time.
Much different.
What was the kind of the parents' reactions to when a kid got hurt? Was it just dust yourself off, get it back up and play?
Well, I think that's what it was allowed. With this specific injury, we ignored it. We didn't do anything for it. I tell people all the time, on Thursdays, we used to tackle our coaches in youth football to get ready for the game. Now, if you saw you little guys tackling big guys, you'd be like, have you lost your minds? But
yeah.
We used to love it because we got to hit our coaches.
Yeah.
But you would not do that today. And it's a much better, safer environment for our kids, really in all sports today.
Yeah. All right. You were a former NFL running back. Your career was cut short after back-to-back concussions.
Right.
And so when all this news comes out about CTE and these thoughts that if you had a concussion, then CTE is imminent, what was your first thought?
Well, it didn't make sense, number one. That's really what sent me on a journey, because I come from a parent's perspective. I'm a concerned parent. I love my kids without end. I'm passionate about kids.
And you have kids who play football.
My son started playing at age 7. He's a quarterback at BYU, and he's 22. But I've coached a lot of kids, and I'm passionate about making the environment better and safer for our kids. So I really went on this journey as a parent. I wanted to find out what the truth is about CTE. So I met with neuropathologists in this country. It sent me even up to Canada, and they all would say the same thing to me when I say, hey, listen, explain this to me. What is it? They're like, well, Merril, it's a pattern that we're observing. It's in an observation state. We don't know what causes it, and we don't know what it causes. We have patients, or we have cases in the medical journal where they never played football, never played...
and have CTE.
Never had a history of head trauma. I go, but they have the pattern. And keep in mind, they keep referring to it as a pattern, because most won't even call it a disease because they don't know what it is. Yeah. It's just a tau pattern. Okay, we all have tau patterns as we evolve in life, but nobody knows what causes it. And now when I heard that, I was like, what a travesty that in the headlines we see, concussions cause CTE. No scientific evidence of that. If your kids play contact sports
so
later
why do you think it is that it almost sounds like you're saying they are lying?
But they are.
Okay.
Let's use the...
Yeah. Why would they lie?
That I can't answer, but when you lie, especially from a doctor's perspective, when you deliberately lie over something that you've written medically in the scientific journals, like Ann McKee, what we led in with this piece right there, the piece of the Boston study, when you look at that particular study, do they read the scientific literature? No, they did a piece on it, right. But if you read the scientific literature, if you read the methodology, if you read that over half of the brains had another neurodegenerative disease, once that happens, you got to exclude CTE because you don't know what it is. It's just littered with those type of flaws in that paper. Yeah. And she even writes in it, Ann McKee herself writes that the particular paper that she studied, the study, is that you can't use this study to give any sense of degree to people because of all its major flaws. And it says caution, don't use this.
Yeah.
But then she gets quoted in the media saying, after doing the study that she just wrote, you can't use this. Yeah. I got to believe all football players have this. And that is just an abuse of the Hippocratic Oath when you do that.
That concussions do not cause CTE for sure, or we don't even know yet?
Nobody knows. Yeah. There's no scientific evidence that concussions cause CTE. Okay, and subconcussion, when you hear that, that's not even science yet. They haven't even done the proper steps to make it science. And most believe it can never be scientific simply because how do you measure it?
Yeah.
Like if you go jogging around, jump on a trampoline, these kids here play basketball, that's all considered subconcussion. I mean, We have literally billions of people that are active like that and have absolutely no issues in life.
I'm going to make a comparison, just for clarification's sake. Out of Houston, the breast implant lawsuits, that thing exploded. It was huge, right? There were women who went in and said that they dealt with breast cancer or lupus, or there were so many different diseases that finally the question was asked, how come this one thing caused all of this? And what the conclusion was is that basically X number of women were going to have these things anyway. The breast implant didn't cause it.
Exactly.
So are you saying, like, for a lot of people, that sits in their brain anyway, so making the relationship to concussions may be off?
Well, it's way off because we all have tau. Like I just said, neuropathologists will say we have tau. Now, here's what's interesting about the study you just mentioned, saying breast implants caused all of these things when there was no cause, there was no scientific evidence that. When you look at leading contributors for all of our brain health, and this is really important for young kids and families, if you hear nothing what I say today, this should alarm you. These are leading causes for brain health, cancers, and cardiovascular disease. Obesity, inactivity, sugar consumption, drugs, alcohol, opioids, age, and genetics. Of all the things that I just shared right there, we control all of them but two. We don't control our age, and we don't control a genetic leak if there is.
I'm lying about it next time. This is the birthday, I'm going to start lying.
But when you think about all the other things are lifestyle things, we need to keep our kids active. We need to teach them how to eat right. If you do that at a younger age, this is scientific fact, and this is evidence fact. The earlier that our kids learn how to be active, take care of their body, be proactive in what they eat, the better they're going to have a short-term and long-term lifespan.
Yeah, which is what we're doing a lot more in medicine today. It's like you look at it and say, okay, so this person may have that cancer gene, but what sets it off, right? We all have like pneumococcus cells in our body, but are we all going to get pneumonia? So all those type of things of kind of mitigating how healthy you can be. And so going back to CTE, again, saying that some people may already have this, some people may already have Alzheimer's, some people may already have all these things sitting there. We have to be careful about the relation we make between certain things.
Yeah, very careful. And that's where the genetic link can come into play, especially dementia. They can find if you have a genetic link, especially if you had it in your family.
Right.
But aside from that, I'm going to go back to what they would always say to me. We don't know, Merrill. We're observing it.
Yeah.
We don't know. So if you don't know, how can you lead a headline that says cause or link? There's nothing in the scientific literature that says that.
Okay, there are some things that we do know and you've been a part of, and that is to just make the game safer.
Absolutely.
So let's go through some of the changes that have been made in the last several years.
In 2003, actually, when I started coaching my son in youth football, and even before that in 1991, I implemented a head trauma protocol, okay? So if you had a concussion, and this should apply to all sports, you remove them. You remove your child from that activity, and you don't return them to play, and you make sure they're evaluated and they're better before they return to play. Okay, so that right there makes it a better, safer environment with all sports. Then the treatments and therapies that are available is just mind-boggling at how our brains can repair themselves, how we can get back to a healthy status, no matter when it happened. If you remember John Saunders, used to work for me, a colleague of mine, tripped in the studio, had a head trauma, post-concussion symptoms for years. I eventually got him help. He got some treatment, cognitively and physically, and he got his brain health back. But he'd been dealing with that for a couple of years, and it wasn't even an athletic arena.
Yeah.
So there's so many amazing things, positive things that parents need to know about, how to take care of it. And if it does happen, treatments and therapies you can do to help our kids become healthier before they return back to activities.
Any issues because of your concussions?
None that I have. I mean, it took me a long time to recover now. It took me, that was back in 1994 when they didn't have treatments, they didn't have therapies. They just kind of said, hey, listen, good luck, we'll see you in a couple of years.
Your brain had to heal itself.
Yeah. But now, actually something happened similar to my son. And in 10 days with the cognitive plan they gave him, a physical rehab plan, in like 10 days, he was back to being Bo. And to watch it and all the improvements we have, that's the way. We put it in the book too, so that parents have that information. It's better for parents to be empowered about how do we handle it? How can we help our kids? How can we put our kids in the best environment? And if something does happen, how we can take care of them? Wouldn't you rather live like that than just go, oh my gosh, I don't ever want you to get hurt. I don't want you to live.
Well, and I'm going to go back to, we've been having this conversation for a long time. I remember back in the 70s, my brother wanted to play football, and my mom read something or heard something and said, oh no, you might get hurt, and so he had to go to band. And my brother was like, yeah, Mom, band's not quite as sexy as football in Texas. But I was in band, yes it was. Okay, but I know there are parents out there right now trying to make this decision, whether their kids should play. And of course, Pee Wee or flag is a little bit different. It gets a little bit rougher, I think, as you go along. But what advice do you have for them because it is a concern, you know?
Listen, I'm a parent, and I understand the
Look, I also
concern.
put my son in ballet.
Right.
But anyway.
But okay, if your goal is, I don't want them to get hurt, well, that's a bad goal, because then don't let them get on a bike, don't let them jump on a trampoline, don't let them play outside,
Yeah.
you know, don't let them roughhouse inside. I mean, how can you make the best decision for your kids is go out and find whatever environment they want to go into. Go ask these questions. Hey, do you have a head trauma protocol? What is it? Make sure you get that answer. If they're contact sports, how do you guys go about practicing? You know, do you have hydration rules? Hey, equipment, who knows how to put equipment on, and how do you fit it? Is it the right way to fit? All of those questions need to be asked, and we do this in the book too. We help parents ask those questions.
Yeah.
As long as you get that the good information back and you hear the right things, but then go be a part of it. You know, just don't drop them off. Go be a part of it. Kids love that their parents are a part of it, can engage and talk about it. They can share what's going on. And I'm going to tell you, it can be a fabulous experience, not just for families, but what kids learn, the confidence that they do, the relationships they have.
Teamwork,
and it's not to
everything.
go play in the NFL.
Yeah.
It's to move on in life and their life's work and things that they're dreaming of and wanting to accomplish. Sports can help them build those life skills to move on and do that.
Used to be they all wanted to be the quarterback. Now I think they want to be the kicker.
Yeah.
No. All right.
Yeah, you got some truth to that, but we want them to get engaged in all the process and not live in fear.
Yeah, Merrill, thank you very much.
It was my pleasure. Thank you
All
for
right.
having me.
To get a copy of Merrill's book, Brainwashed, The Bad Science Behind CTE and the Plot to Destroy Football, visit greatdayhouston.com.